Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I am so excited about today's video because as you can see, I have a guest with me here today. This is my friend Roshni, and Roshni was recently diagnosed with triple negative breast cancer. And I wanted to bring Roshni on here because I wanted to share your journey and your story and what you've gone through. And why I wanted to do that was it's been a passion and a goal of mine to share stories of real women and the real struggles that they've gone with. And when I met Roshni a couple of months ago at a summit actually, and then again at a panel which you invited me to speak on, I just knew that I had to bring you on and I wanted to share your story and really offer some words of encouragement and some words of wisdom and how you've dealt with all your fears and your confidence through this entire process. So without further ado, I would like to pass it over to you and open up the floor to you and tell me a little bit about yourself. Tell us who you are.
So my name is Roshni. I'm 23 years old. I graduated Rutgers in 2018. In April of 2019, I was diagnosed with triple negative breast cancer. Went through 16 rounds of chemo. I did a lumpectomy in November, and then now I'm going through radiation, and it's about 6 weeks.
Wow. That's a lot. So, and a lumpectomy is when we're taking just the lump out. So it's not a mastectomy, I believe that's what it's called, where they would remove the breast.
Right.
Okay, got it.
So yeah, it's just like scraping the tissue that had the tumor.
Okay, okay. Now, if you see Roshni, she's a very positive person. I mean, how she carries herself and just the way you talk and interact with people and even how you just talk about your own story, it's very empowering to see you, and I'm sure that was probably a process for you in itself. So I want to kind of take you back a little bit to when it actually happened, when you found out this whole diagnosis happened. What was going through your mind? First of all, like, how did you found out that you had something like this?
So I found a lump, and I asked my friends, I googled it, just thought it was breast tissue, just like put it out of my head. Then 2 months went by and I started noticing like my arm hurt on my left side because that's where my lump was, on the left side.
Now, is that normal if your arm hurts?
Yeah, so
not that any of this is normal. But,
there's like lymph node involvement.
Okay.
So I think that's why I had like bruising on my arm.
Okay.
That I'm linking that to that. And then because there was a tumor also in a lump in my armpit. But I didn't know that was the pain, like the cause of the pain.
Got it.
And then 2 months went by and I noticed blood in my bra and I was like, okay, I need to go get this checked out. So I didn't have an OBGYN, so I went on ZocDoc and I found the closest appointment. I went on a Saturday morning. The doctor didn't really have any concerns because of my age and no family history. So she kind of pushed back on like getting additional testing done, but I pushed back on her because I was like, this is not normal, like
something's wrong.
I need to go find out what this is like this week in a couple days,
because you also know your body the best.
Yeah,
of course.
And I just knew like if there's blood, there's something wrong. So and that week I went to go get a needle biopsy. The next day I got a phone call from the office to come in. I went on Friday with my cousin and my friend, and she told me I had breast cancer, and I was just sitting there. I was kind of angry at her. I was angry at myself. I was in disbelief about what's happening. I was in like shock. I took a lift with my cousin and my friend, and I was just sitting there like, what is going on? It just felt so surreal, like hearing someone say like you have breast cancer, and I was just,
because it's always about hearing other people have it, but when you get something like that, it's just like, wait, what? Like, how did this happen?
And I just graduated school and working a full-time job, and I thought I would have to worry about my taxes, like doing them correctly, but now I'm like dealing with this, and I was just like in utter shock.
So wait, let me take it back a little bit. So you said you were angry with yourself. Like, why were you angry with yourself? Like, what was causing that? You think?
I was angry with myself because I noticed a lump but didn't act on it. I just like kind of pushed it aside, and I didn't take it upon myself to be more have a perspective about my body, like be in the know about my body. And I feel like that's something that in the South Asian, like brown community, is that, you know, being like in touch with yourself is not something that's prioritized for us. Because, you know, sexual health is kind of like stigmatized.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and just if you try to talk about it with other people, it's kind of like hush hush. So I think that's what, like, not the root cause, but just like that's why I was so dismissive about like slash like brown community, like you know, talking about like sexual health or anything like that sort is like stigmatized and it's not prioritized.
Right.
For like us to know our bodies. So that's how I was like mad at myself, and now I like know in the back of my mind, like I need to know my body in order to, you know, be healthy.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think that's such a great point that you bring up, that there's a lot of stigma around these kind of things, even though there's no sexual behavior around it, but anything associated with, you know, your private parts. In the South Asian community, it's such a taboo to talk about these kind of things. You know, I mentioned this before, that Roshni just has this amazing aura to herself, how she carries herself and how she conveys her story. It's amazing. I mean, I admire you for that. What were some of the fears that were going through your mind? So you found this out. I'm sure you've told all your family. Now, what is happening internally for you? Like, what are some of the fears that you dealt with?
Yeah, so I knew that my life was going to change, and I really don't like change. Like, that's something that's really difficult for me to adjust to. I didn't expect it to happen so quickly. So I was diagnosed the end of April. I met my medical team the beginning of May, and as soon as I met them, like, they told me to like go freeze my eggs. So I had to go freeze my eggs. And it was my birthday the next week, so it was just a whole like fast process. I started chemo like May 23rd, like right after I freeze my eggs, and then after the first two, like after chemo, I didn't expect, I didn't know how I was gonna feel. I spent like a couple days like with my eyes like rolled in the back of my head, like asleep. I don't really remember it. And after 2 chemo treatments, I noticed like my hair was falling out, and I was just like, I was not expecting that. I had in my head, I guess I was naive about the whole process. I just thought like my hair is so thick that it won't fall out. And then as soon as it started to do that, I was like, I can't be touching my, because every time I would touch my hair, it would just be like on the floor. So yeah, I didn't expect it to happen so quickly.
So you're going through all these changes, right? Like physical changes, like hair falling out. And as females, like this tends to be like our security blanket, right? Like our hair is a lot, right? Like your skin, like people get really insecure about that, especially women. We get so insecure. That's why we have extensions and things like that are going to help us feel good. What was that like going through so many physical changes in your body that people outwardly can now see you? It can't be something that's hush hush. Like how was that experience like, and how are you dealing with all of that?
Yeah, like losing my hair, losing my eyelashes, losing my eyebrows. Like I looked like a cancer patient, and I felt like that way every time I looked in the mirror. Yeah, so it was like all at once, all the physical changes, and like, you know, as brown women, we love our long hair. We love. I would never have my hair up unless I was like going to the gym or something, and I would always have it down, and I had like long curly hair, and I loved it, and I just always had it down, and I loved walking around with my hair. I always felt like I need to have my hair done for me to look good. And now that's all taken away. Like that security blanket is taken away, and I don't know how to handle that because I've never been put in that situation. But I started realizing that my physical features were not something that like defined me so much as like everyone that I'm friends with likes me for my personality. I've never like heard someone tell me like I'm only friends with you because you have great hair, or you dress a certain way or anything. It's always been like I'm friends with you because you're a nice person, and you have a good personality. Yeah.
Wow, I mean, that's such a powerful thing to say, because I think, again, you know, on a regular basis, when you're healthy, you're just living your life, you think that you know, you don't think about things like that.
Right.
You don't see, oh, she's not friends with me, or he's not friends with me, or he's not my boyfriend because my hair is great, right? Like there's something deeper that they see in you. And I think that's amazing that you share that. So how was it looking at yourself in the mirror and not seeing your eyelashes, not seeing your brows, not seeing the hair that you're so accustomed to seeing? Like, again, like, would you be open to sharing like the fears and, you know, the insecurities that were going through your mind?
Yeah. You know that cat, like the hairless one? That's how I felt. I look exactly like that cat. It was just like no eyebrows, no eyelashes. I didn't know how different I would look versus like right now my eyelashes and eyebrows are back.
So thick, by the way, like so full. She just needs mascara.
And that was like the hardest part for me, like because for me, for cancer, it was like 20% physical and 80% mental.
Of course. And
like seeing that every day that I look like a cancer patient, just mentally was so draining to me because I need to like somehow pick myself back up just for me to get through chemo, and like not put in like these insecurities in my head that would like, you know, keep me from like finishing chemo, or like, you know, me having a mental breakdown or something. I really was just like in fight or flight mode. I like pushed away my feelings aside for like the 5 months I had to do chemo and just did chemo. I was kind of like a robot. But there were times where my feelings just got the best of me, and I had to let it out or else I was going to go insane.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then once I started noticing that, like I noticed I was borderline getting into like a depressive state. Like I felt the sadness, I felt like the darkness, and so I reached out and I got a therapist because I wanted to control those feelings.
That's beautiful. Yeah,
I wanted to like get that control before something else happens to me.
Right.
Yeah.
Again, having that robotic thing, right? Like where you're essentially suppressing your emotions.
Right.
And I love that you brought up that you had to let it out. You reached out and got professional help to help you through that process. What were you doing? And I guess like, could you share a little bit about the internal battle that you were having? You said it was 20% physical, 80% mental.
Yeah.
What was this internal battle like? Like, what were the things that you were saying to yourself?
Because like, I know that this was like hard for my parents, so I just didn't want to show any signs of like me being sad or scared about what was happening, because I know that was like from the start, like what they were dealing with, like scared and sadness. So I wanted to be like, I'm fine all the time. That's how I wanted to be all the time.
Putting on a front.
Right.
For people around you.
Yeah, for the people around me. But then I was just like, one day I was just like, no, I can't keep accommodating other people's feelings. I need to also handle my feelings. And if you can't deal with it, like, okay, fine, like take your whatever space that you need, but I need to like feel certain things in order for me to like process what's happening.
Right, absolutely. Now you mentioned that, and I'm so glad that you shared that, and I'm going to get to my question, but I just had a thought that come to me was, you can't pour from an empty cup. Right. So it's like you have to take care of yourself. And I think as women especially, we tend to do this thing where we feel we have to take care of everyone around us, and we tend to put ourselves on the back burner. So I see how the kind of feelings you went through.
Yeah.
Now I want to kind of switch gears a little bit and talk a little bit about your relationship. You mentioned that you were in a relationship. You have a boyfriend.
Yeah.
What was that like? Like, were you're going through so many physical changes, and to be in a romantic relationship, like, how was that like?
So it was funny because he was the second person that I called to tell him that I had cancer, and he already knew. Like, I already like went to the doctor. We were just like waiting for the results. So I called him and I was like, hey, like I got diagnosed with breast cancer, and he was like, okay. And basically he was just like, what are we gonna do about it? Like, what's the next step? He wasn't like, okay, like this is scary. It was just like, what's the plan of action here?
Right.
And like throughout the whole process, he's been like that. Yeah, like he came to like every chemo. He came to my surgeries. And he just made me feel normal. Like he treated me the same way when not having hair and having hair, like I was the same person to him. We just joked around. I guess he really liked the fact that I was bald. He just like, loved touching like the top of my head.
Yeah.
But yeah, he just always treated me as like a normal human being, not as like Roshni the cancer patient.
Right.
Yeah.
And how was it like, I guess, in the sense, were you able to feel beautiful with him? Did he make, like, how was that like?
Yeah, I don't know. I never felt that I was not, I only felt not beautiful when I didn't have eyelashes or eyebrows or hair. But like whenever we were together, like he always made me feel like, you know, the same, like, you know, that he loved me and like I was beautiful and like it didn't matter if I don't have hair or no eyelashes or eyebrows. He just always kept that feeling for me.
That's so amazing. Again, because in relationships, you want to feel beautiful and you want to feel that attraction, and it's amazing that how in your relationship you guys have that deeper sense where you're connecting on more than just the physicalities. I mean, that's what a real relationship is, but I was just curious to see, you know, what that dynamic was like.
I think when you're going through something like this, you also need the other person to be mature as well and willing to be mature too, like, because this is a mature situation,
right?
Like I'm 23, he's 25. Like this is not something that in a relationship like this we should deal with, but it's happening. So like, how do you work with it?
Right. Absolutely. I love that. I love how his first instinct and his first response is, well, what's the plan of action here? How do we get through this? And I think it's so important to have that in a partner, and I'm really glad you had that with you as you're going through this. Now, being from the South Asian community, being a brown person, what was that like? Because again, there's a stigma associated with it. It's like, you're sick, but oh my God, don't tell people you're sick.
Right.
So like, what was that like?
Yeah. So like when I told my parents, and then once like other people in my family started finding out, you know, some people looked at me like I was gonna die. It was like all those like, it's like sadness and like messages. It's like, oh, like we're gonna pray to Bhagwan and like everything will be okay. And I'm like, that's not how it works. I need like, you know, research in medicine and all this stuff.
Right.
So yeah, it was mostly like stigmatizing cancer like negatively, like automatically like I'm gonna die.
Right.
And that's not the case. Like cancer for everyone is different, and everyone goes through it differently. And that's what people need to understand.
Right.
And there's so many like medical advancements now, especially with breast cancer, that are coming out that are like, you know, saving lives. We do need more of it, but like, you know, brown people need to understand like cancer is not automatic leading like cause of death.
Okay, so again, being from the South Asian community and your family being a little bit weird and stigmatizing whatever's going on, how did you make the move in sharing this so publicly? I know you share this on your Instagram and on your social media. You're very open about your story.
Yeah.
What made you do that?
Yeah, so I mean, like my immediate family, like my parents and like my uncles and cousins and aunts were very supportive. They weren't stigmatized. It's more so like people outside of that bubble.
Right.
And so what made me decide to be vocal on my Instagram is I went to a career event, and it was just with like social like impact influencers, and I just like got up during the Q&A and I just said, hey, this is what I'm going through. And because I felt so alone, and so I just like got up and just blacked out while saying this. I told like a room full of like 100 people like that I just got diagnosed with breast cancer, and just like the support that I got, not because people were also going through it, but like they empathized with me about like being so young and going through this, and told me about other people or resources that they knew about, and like once I did that I felt like not alone, and it made me feel better.
Right.
And so then I just like went on Instagram and I just told everyone on Instagram that, hey, like I just got diagnosed with cancer and I don't know what it's going to entail. And just the outpour of support and people reaching out to me to offer advice or be there for me was just so nice.
Right.
It just made you feel less lonely.
Right.
And I think that's what I needed. I needed to like know that like I'm not going through this alone, because that's how it felt like.
Of course, and I can again totally imagine what you're going through. Now, again, you're dealing with your own self-esteem issues, right? Because again, you're going through so many physical changes. Mentally, you're all over the place as well. First of all, tell me, what was it like? Like, how did this whole experience impact your self-esteem? And then to put yourself out there and tell people that, hey, this is what I'm going through, because regardless of what it is, you still get a lot of backlash and you get a lot of hate from people, and not necessarily the right things that people might be saying.
Right. I think that's another thing, like, why I wanted to be so vocal is because I didn't want someone else to feel the way that I felt. And I was like, okay, if I could show myself being like comfortable in my own skin now after going through this, maybe that'll inspire someone else to feel the same way, or like learn how to feel the same way.
Right.
Like, I've shown myself on my Instagram stories like at chemo, or like different things that happen, like, my nails from chemo are black. And so like I know that sometimes it makes people uncomfortable, but that's how I am. I want you to know what's happening to me. Because I don't want it to be weird or anything. I just want people to know.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely. And I love that, because I know people who will normalize their pain as a way of suppressing their pain, and that's not a healthy way to deal with stuff. Yeah. But I love how you're trying to normalize that, hey, I'm going through this. It's valid. Yeah. My emotions are valid. My thought process is valid. And if it's valid for me, I want to use my voice to validate other people. And I love that. I think that it's so beautiful. So what kind of messages are you getting? And what kind of like, I guess like support from your community that you're now building, and people who follow you? Like, what kind of conversations and what is coming out of this now? Yeah,
so I did a video with Arshia, and then I wrote a story for Brown Girl magazine, and from that I've gotten like DMs from different women, other women who've been like newly diagnosed, or women who know other people who've been diagnosed, and mostly I get like, how'd you find out, like if they were newly diagnosed, what's the process like? Like, just give me advice, like what, what, or like, what is triple negative breast cancer? And I've gotten I got this like really sweet message that I was telling you about this woman. Her mother has, I think, liver cancer, and she was telling me about how she's in denial about like losing her hair, which I was too. And so I just told her what I did, seeing if that would help. And I told her all of this, and she thanked me for the advice. And then I think maybe a couple of days later, a week later, she messaged me saying that her mom finally shaved her head, and she appreciated my advice. That really helped her, and she's told her mom about me, and that made me feel like really great, like knowing that I'm helping someone else, and helping them process their own feelings too.
Right, absolutely. How did you, of course, like all of this breaks your confidence. How are you like this? Because I wish I could like, sit, like have people just be around this girl. I mean, we've been together all day almost. We did her makeup and she's just joyful, and you're using your pain in not a very like a self-pity way. And I love that. I love that you are just very much about empowerment, and you're very much about education around the people around you, and just building this community, which you're doing, and coming out here on social media and writing articles, which is shedding light on these subject matters. Like what are you, I guess, are there certain tactical strategies that you were doing? I don't know, like because I feel like I need what you're doing in my life. I feel like we all have confidence struggles. We all do. But then on top of that, you're going through something larger than life, and you're able to break through it and just still have this amazing attitude. And like what do you do? Are there certain things that you're doing on a daily basis? Like, I know I'm a huge affirmation person. I don't know, like what are you doing, Roshni?
I'm laughing because the main thing that helped me through this is like, I love humor. I love funny like shows, anything like that. I love humor, and that's what's got me through this whole process. Like I have either like dark humor that's got me through it, or just humor in general. Like my friends text me all the time, like I don't know how you're laughing about this.
Right.
And I'm like, that's what's getting me like through it. Like, what am I gonna do? Cry?
Right.
Like, let me just like, you know, make light of the situation. Like, I posted one time I was at chemo and everyone was out like drinking White Claws over the summer. I was at chemo, and so like I took an Instagram story and I just added like White Claw like images. Like, this is my version of White Claw. I just find like making the situation funny is how I cope with things.
Lighter versus making it heavier, and then you're not really
right.
dealing with it.
Yeah.
Right.
And like I made fun of myself when I was bald. Like I look like the egg filter on Snapchat. And that was one of my posts on Instagram. If you look at my Instagram, I have a picture of me in my wig, and I like caption it catfish, and it's just like if you swipe through, it's just like wig, bald, egg emoji.
Oh my god, that's hilarious.
Yeah.
That's so funny, and I think it takes a lot of strength. That's so hilarious. I love that you can take such serious situations and make them humorous. And I think it takes a lot of strength to do that. So again, I want to just say that I admire you so much. And I guess just lastly, what I want to ask is, my next question for you and my last question for you is, where do you see your life going now? You know, like we all have plans for ourselves. I'm going to do this by this age. You've gone through something and you're building something different now. You're building this community.
Yeah.
So where do you envision yourself, and how do you envision yourself using this experience, I guess, to help others, which you're already doing, but what are some of your dreams now?
I think now I'm less like making like by 26 I'll have this accomplished, or by 28 I'll have it. Like I'm less like that now. I used to be very like that in college. Like
very type A.
Yeah, graduate, get a job, and that's exactly what I did.
Right.
And now I'm just like, no, I'm gonna take it like one step at a time. Just my career will fall in its place like in time. I don't need to set these unrealistic like expectations for myself. Just kind of like go with the flow.
Right.
Like I'm still like very much about like working up in my career, but just like having this happen to me, I'm just like, I can have fun. I can, you know, go hang out with my friends, or like, you know, spend 2 weeks in Italy. I don't know, just like something like do other things instead of like work.
Right.
And having a plan.
Absolutely. And I love that. You know, I've had my own struggles, and that's exactly how my mindset shifted as well, where I went from being that planner and type A to being like, I'll figure it out.
Right.
I'll let things be as, you know, as they come, and I'll figure it out, and I'll see where life takes me. And I love how all of this that you're sharing is so powerful, and I hope people can relate to this and can learn from this, and you know, go out and get themselves checked out and tested, and just have that kind of a cognizant mindset as they're thinking about their lives and their health. Is there anything that you'd like to say to people, to young women?
You know, your feelings are always valid, whatever you're going through mentally, physically. If you have some sort of feeling about it, push to get it either checked out or get help, you know, because you're the one who knows your body the best.
Right.
And if you feel that there's something there that wasn't there the next 2 weeks ago, ask someone professional, medical professional, ask them about that. Is that normal?
Right.
Just you are the one like to know yourself the most.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. I know a lot of this.
Yay.
Oh, yes, of course. I know a lot of this that we shared wasn't easy, and I wanted to keep it short and light, but you're such an inspiration to the people around you, and just how, again, I've said this so many times, just like how you carry yourself, and just your attitude towards the whole thing is so inspirational to me. And you know, again, like we all go through hard stuff, but to see someone take pain and really come through that and become this, you know, you blossomed like a flower. Which I think is one of the most beautiful things I've seen, especially going through that at a very young age. And I want to thank you so much for being my first guest and also being so vulnerable on here and sharing some of the things that you shared. I know it's not easy.
Yeah.
But I really, really do appreciate that. But I think it would be a really great thing to share some resources that people can tap into if they are going through something similar or anything that, you know, anything related to breast cancer or cancer in general. I'll link Roshni's social media down below so you guys can check it out in that little box that we have. And any other resources that you might have, would you like to share that as well?
Yeah, there's the breast cancer helpline. It's an app. You can go on there. You can meet other women who either are recently diagnosed or different stages, different types. What other resources? Oh, there's the Triple Negative Breast Cancer Foundation. They're really great. Medivivor, which deals mainly with stage 4 breast cancer, because with stage 4, you know, you need research. It just doesn't end there. It's you need the research and stuff, and that's what I feel like with breast cancer, it gets lost. It's like there's so much awareness, but we need money for research.
Absolutely, for sure.
And
I mean, that's okay. I guess, like,
I'll
when
link
you
additional things.
Yeah, absolutely. Share them with me, and then I know with Arshia's video, there's also that resource for people to tap into as well if you're dealing with something like that. But like I said, I'll link Roshni's Instagram and any other social media handles you might have down below, so you guys can go ahead, follow her, connect with her on these different social media platforms. She's an amazing girl, as you can see. And any other resources that you have, we can share them so people can use them and see what might be, you know, that there's help out there. And I think that's what happens when people are afraid to first reach out for help and then kind of be lost as to where can I get this help. Again, thank you so much for being on this on this series. There were a lot of mess ups today and I apologize, but I guess that's what happens when you're starting something off for the first time. You've been such a great person.
Clap your hands for yourself.
Yes, and for you. But thank you so much, everyone, for watching. I hope you found it inspirational. I mean, I'm left with such a warm heart and feeling so full because, again, Roshni just has that energy to her. But if you liked today's video, please go ahead and give me a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. I have a lot more guests that I want to bring on here and share a whole bunch of different stories. Remember, my platform is all about empowering you to look and feel beautiful, and I can't wait for my next video. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.
We